Thunder Grunt.
The third channel. It's still on!
Please take off the third channel!
The third channel. It's still running.
Stop it, please. For God's sake, please stop it.
There's no more time!
Please stop it.
Stop it now.
Turn it off!
Stop it.
Stop it!
Stop it!
Stop it.
Stop it!
A small little ship in the center of Mars was a sack of souls with experiment scars. When the psychedelic monk said, "I'll take two," and he put them in a rocket and he ate a lot of glue. And he shot them straight to Earth where they turned into babies. They were named from that, and they rarely got rabies. And the monk made a movie of their whole entire lives. They were panoramic scenes and zooms of the time. And one time Bob had sex with a ladle, and one time Matt lost a vet to a cradle, and another time Bob caught a dinosaur mom, and another time Matt bought a replica of Guam. And all this and more is on a DVD set, only $20.99 with the purchase of a gem. But if you call right now and say, "Where's my whisk?" we'll include this bonus disc.
Hey! Welcome to Bonus Disc!
You didn't really need to do that.
I know my voice hurts right now doing it. I'm Bob Rose, and with me is another host of the show, Matt PA. And with us is a returning guest of the show, Michael Ziccardi.
Hey guys, thanks for having me back.
Thanks
Good to
for
see
coming,
you.
Mike.
Wow.
So I'm gonna just address my voice being terrible right now. The episode is late for anyone listening to this. It's because these nice gentlemen rescheduled twice.
Fine.
Because I've been sick as fuck. So thank you guys. I want to
course,
say
Bob.
that. Mike, you asked me about watching this movie.
Yes.
I would say a year ago almost, right?
Yes.
It was a while ago, but I never forgot.
No.
Because Mike Ziccardi was so excited when he had watched this movie. I could see it in his eyes. And I was like, he wants to talk about this movie.
As a bit of backstory,
Like on Christmas morning when we were thinking about it.
it's probably the greatest moment in my short life. So,
I have accomplished nothing.
Right now, it's the peak.
I usually go to Soundgarden once every 3 months, and I go to the horror section, and I
Right.
will take my finger and go from A to Z, and I will take out 3 movies that I buy, not based on anything but the title itself, and it has to be something I've never heard before. Well, one day I got to the letter V, and I saw The Vagrant, because the doesn't matter when you count horror titles.
With any title. it's not
Exactly.
just horror.
But
Yeah.
so I open the box and I see Bill Paxton holding his face and screaming, and the shadowy figure in nightmarish letters, The Vagrant. And I go, Bill Paxton in a film called The Vagrant?
Right?
What this be?
How do you not know about
I-
And
Bill
you didn't
Paxton?
know about it.
Never heard of
Never
it
heard
before
of
in
it.
my life.
And we're big Pax fans.
He's
amazing.
I'm a big fan of everyone involved in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much.
And
Yeah.
so I...
Especially the sound composer. Or whatever.
We'll get to
We'll
that.
get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it.
So I flip it over and I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, a guy is terrorized by a horrific vagrant. This sounds great. And then I go, directed by Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace, who designed the Gremlins for Gremlins. Chris Wallace, who directed The Fly 2, the B-horror cinematic masterpiece. How did I not know of this gem?
Right.
Ran home, turned off all the lights.
Not to mention the other players, dude.
Oh, we'll
Oh,
get
yeah.
to them.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to it.
Right.
I mean, pulled the covers over my head, got a big old bowl of popcorn.
Completely naked.
oh,
Just
completely naked, covered in pig's blood.
yeah.
And I watched it, and I was so impressed by it. And Michael Ironside.
Amazing.
Michael Ironside, as we know, Total Recall. Wonderful actor. Marshall Bell, Starship Troopers, and Quado from Total Recall.
Yeah, you got 2 Verhoeven like people in this
Yes.
movie.
Both.
I mean, 3 Verhoeven people, really.
yeah,
But yeah.
Starship Troopers veterans, some would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
And the music by Chris Young. Now, many of you may have heard of a little film called Jaws.
right. Yeah.
In this movie, John Williams, who's a hack, he every time the whale is on screen, he has this piano.
The whale?
Yeah.
What are you playing, a character?
No. Every time the whale is about to bite somebody, you hear this dumb thing where it goes da 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 da, and it's so repetitive and dumb. Chris Young's score is so interesting. It's like Danny Elfman, classic Oingo Boingo, and it has, instead of some dumb piano going da 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 da, it includes the breathing sounds of the vagrant.
Right.
And it's so terrifying. And thus, let's begin the tale of the
I was going to
vagrant.
say, Ziccardi, in contrast, you could almost argue, in contrast to what Williams tried to do and failed, apparently, according to you.
Yeah.
The peon.
Chris Young is just like, why build up any tension when I'll just make the music like we're already there?
I like seriously.
Right? You know what I'm
opening of
saying?
The movie was like, nothing about this is whimsically scary. Why is this music so nuts? It's great.
Right. So because we open up on like
Bill
the
Paxton,
title.
The Office.
Well,
Right?
the open shot of a wide-reaching office with rows of lights.
Yeah.
It's
And-
big. It's like a whole floor of a building.
The
Open.
cinematography, like the director of photography or whatever, like every shot is set up like the like perfect angle of like either like surrealty or like fucked upness. It's just like awesome.
One thing I told you, Bob, before we watched tonight was, and Chris Wallace, I love you. If you're listening, you're a hero of mine. The Vagrant is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. But if I had to describe this movie to someone, why should you watch it?
Right.
I imagine that this movie was someone went to Chris Wallace at a party and said, "Hey, have you ever heard of the Coen brothers?" And he goes, "No, who are they? Let me describe what their movies are." But he'd never watched one. And he made a Coen brothers movie based on a description of what a Coen brothers movie is.
I could tell by the end, I was like, I could totally see somebody describing Raising Arizona to somebody.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
And they go, okay, I'll write something like that.
Yeah.
And then this happened.
This is Raising Arizona with a one-eyed vagrant. And I'll tell you,
It's awesome.
I'm better for it. One thing about the great, with this bizarre breathing music, the pulsating sound.
We're not doing a fucking commentary track on a DVD, Mike.
I'm setting the scene.
All right, continue.
Bill Paxton is reviewing properties, real estate listings. He's circling price. He's crossing off bedrooms. You can tell he's an officious man, a man who's uptight, too nerdy. But we see him circling
This
one
is
house.
too
Well,
much
we do
money.
see him because the camera goes
Yes.
up to him in his office.
At his desk.
And he's a clean cut Bill Paxton like you've never seen him.
Exactly.
And
like-
he got the dumb it's not the ball ones.
It's
but
this, one of those spinny star things that go back and forth.
Yeah,
He
he's
has-
the quintessential like dork at the office.
He has papers that he's copying from with an easel up, and he's typing officiously with his tie, just wire rim glasses, nice slick back hair. He looks like a good boy.
and the
This is-
music
this
sounds
isn't-
like you're in a haunted carnival for some reason with heavy
I know.
breathing included. You know?
like the insane clown posse. Whoa, but it's not happening.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's like this isn't an '80s movie. It's 1992.
Yes.
but it feels like he's the quintessential like boring, bland business man.
80s
Like he has dreams to go up to.
And let us be clear,
like, yeah.
saying he's a bland, boring person, we are going to be getting into spoilers.
Right.
This movie has the recommendation of the three geniuses in this room. Please
Definitely.
stop the podcast, watch The Vagrant, then come
Yeah.
back and listen to our review of it, because I think you'll be a better person as well.
Yeah,
That movie, it's great.
I'll put a link.
Like I said outside, I would not recommend this to anybody. Like,
No,
anybody
usually we
should
say
watch
that
this.
at the end, but I think we're all in agreement.
This
was
fucking awesome.
not a bad. We're not watching. Like Ziccardi didn't want to watch this because it was bad. It's interesting.
It's
super
fascinating.
amazing.
interesting and
It's
really well
It's really
done.
fascinating. Yeah, all like you said, all the shots are thought out. It's beautifully shot and filmed and acted. It's so bizarre. So we're not talking about this because we're like
It's not
saying
shitty.
there's mistakes here.
Well, let's not marry it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna marry. No,
Yeah.
I want to marry it by the end. Well, fuck it. Okay. So yeah, we see the office. We see him. He's flipping through the
Real
book,
estate
the
listings?
real estate listings for like a good 2 minutes.
A lot of
And
it.
we're hearing the circus music
He
play.
just constantly.
He finds one and he circles it, and the screen goes in, and
Dude,
it's like
the hand motions
from the paper.
he does. At the beginning,
Oh yeah, it's like tapping and stuff.
Well, no, when he's looking in the book, his hands it's like he's revealing it to himself. His hands are like covering stuff, and then he's like, because you're just seeing the pages or whatever. But like
the great thing too is his hand movements tell him everything about the character you need to know.
Everything.
He's tapping a picture, then crossing the red pen, circling. He's so specific in every action he does. So the great thing is you were describing, it peers into the black and white image of one house and then becomes color, and you're there.
It goes from the page to the screen.
Now, the weird thing about this house is it's in front of it is a bizarre, almost like graveyard desert with leaves and broken trees. It looks
like a fallen down shitty wall.
Horrible. Yeah. It's disgusting. Yeah. But every other house around it is kind of nice. It seems like a nice neighborhood. And Bill Paxton is then introduced to the house by the real estate agent, Ms. Dancing. Dancing.
So there's an N in there?
It's Sing. It was not. No, maybe it's Danzig.
I thought it was Danzig.
Let's call her Danzig.
Danzig. Mrs. Danzig.
Danzig drives up in a car with
Mother. I want to show you a house.
God, that'd be so amazing. No, but he played by the legendary
Colleen Camp, Yvette from Clue, who was one of my favorite actresses. She was in a house.
I didn't
House with the Clock in Its Walls. She's also in Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah, she's been in a lot of stuff.
She's just fantastic.
I didn't recognize her until you just said that.
Really?
Yeah, no, I didn't realize.
She's in a ton of '80s movies. Yeah.
She is insane when she
the character.
The character is insane when she shows Bill Paxton's. The house right away, again setting the tone of this movie. She just pauses and goes, "This house speaks to me," and the walls are covered in dirt. The sink has grease in it. Everything is moldy, musty.
What I liked about it was when they first step in the door. I said this everything. The house is shaped really weird.
It is.
It has all these
it has a weird personality to how it's actually built, and she doesn't mention that.
She never brings that up. But when when Bill Paxton opens the door and he steps in, it's like filthy, and then you can see the living room in the background.
Yeah, and the angles are all.
Yeah, the wall. It has a chimney, but you can't tell what it is. When they first step in, it just looks like the room is sideways, and I was like, "What the fuck is?"
It looks like a Pee-wee's Playhouse room or something.
The movie does it
a
whole bunch of times where something will be vertical and there'll be something that should be on the same plane with it that doesn't look like
the pink house from Bogus Journey and The Nightmare.
You know what it reminded me of?
that.
It reminded me of what if you had an amalgam of the Brady Bunch house and the shack from Evil Dead 2. That's the feeling you're supposed to get. Like there's something wrong here, and the back door is even just ajar.
Oh yeah, but
so is the fridge. The fridge is ajar.
I love this woman's way to sell a house. Is she walks in with them, says some freaky weird shit that makes her seem insane, and then she just starts walking around talking, and he is nowhere near her. He's in the kitchen doing his own shit.
He walks.
She's supposed to be showing him the house.
She doesn't do anything.
Just like, anyway, ghosts are speaking to me. She's like shouting in another room, and it's so good. I love
realtors often go through a house and clean it.
Oh yeah,
and make it presentable. And it's like, this is a pile of shit.
But again, guys, character. It speaks to character.
It speaks to character.
He doesn't. It's not about actually buying a house to live in. He just wants to buy a house because he feels it's the next big step because he's waiting for a promotion. He wants to be a successful man, a caring man. Now, Bill Paxton goes up to the bathroom and
hold on.
Well, yeah.
First he sees the sink.
Yes.
Yeah, the sink,
which is important.
The dripping sink.
The sink has a drip in it that's causing a rust stain in the bottom of the sink.
Yeah.
And he also notices the back door is not locked properly.
We already talked about that.
Yeah, right.
And he closes it.
Yeah. So then he goes upstairs.
He sees the sink and he's like, "This is jacked," and the woman is like, "Fucking, let's look at the rest of the house."
The sink just establishes the whole tone.
Dude, the sink is amazing.
Right.
The sink is incredible.
The sink is a character unto itself.
Yeah.
So
it's so good.
He goes to the bathroom, tests to see if the toilet flushes, and he sees a book on top of the toilet.
I don't think he's testing. I think there was something in the toilet.
No, the toilet was running, and he stopped it.
He just wanted to make sure if it worked.
It was running.
No, I felt like he thought it was nasty because he put toilet paper.
No, he didn't want to touch it, but it was running.
He was staring.
Now let's be clear. Let's be clear about something.
I thought there was something in it.
This is how much we love this movie.
We're
debating over whether a toilet flushes.
Over the motive.
It flushed it. We're arguing over the motive of the flush.
The newest trend, Ziccardi, if you haven't been listening, the newest trend, and bonus this, is me and Matt arguing about what happened in the movie.
And that's why you brought me here to bring you out of this rut. To save your souls.
Right.
He notices a book on top of the toilet. The book is called The Animal Within. Now, the cover of the book is, as Matt described during the screening,
like Animorphs.
Yeah, it looks like Animorphs.
It is a man's face changing into the face of a horned beast. He flips over the book, and the back page is missing. The flap, you would say. The flap that usually shows.
This movie is fucking genius! Sorry.
It's okay.
It's so good.
The flap that usually shows
We'll get there.
The author's face would be missing. Then the realtor, Ms. Danzig, comes in and
out of nowhere,
and desperately pushes him and goes, "I want you
to
buy this
no.
house."
Well, she walks up and she thinks he's peeing.
Yes,
and he goes,
she's
"It's
like,
the first thing Bill Paxton says in the movie."
Hasn't said anything yet, and it's been like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh no, I wasn't going to the bathroom or anything." And then she's like, "So what do you think?" And he's like, "Yeah, this place is not speaking to me.
It doesn't speak to me.
It's not really saying anything. I don't hear it screaming at me or whatever." And then she just goes, "Look, I want to fuck you. Is that wrong?" And just like shoves him down in the toilet and tries to fuck him. And he's like, "Oh, how about I just buy the house?" And she's like, "What?" And he's like, "I'll just buy the house.
No, you're missing.
And we won't have sex."
You're missing a great comedic moment. He screams, "I'll take it.
That's right.
Which she assumes
is the sex.
It's talking about the sex act.
Right, yeah.
And he's like, "No, the house." And Colin Camp's acting in that moment.
It's great.
You can see her face where she realizes, "Oh no, he's talking about the house and not my body." And I was just like, wow, this movie is, we're like 5 minutes in, and I've already given it the Academy Award.
It is amazing.
Like Matt
she just
said,
shrugs it off. Like
when we were watching
it,
well
then
the scene passes. Right after the scene, we were all like, we're not sure if that was a tactic to sell the house or if she was actually just really horny and was wanting him really bad.
Yeah, that's something we have to say because the movie, like,
we do know.
Describing this stuff.
I mean, right after the scene. I'm saying at this point in the movie, it's already like, wait, I don't understand what just happened, but I like it.
The acting is
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The way everybody's acting is impossible to tell if they're trying to be funny or not. Like, but not,
like a Coen Brothers movie?
Sort of, but not like...
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't... It's not that the movie doesn't think it's funny, it's that those people don't think it's funny.
They're playing straight.
But they're being funny as fuck. Like, they're being awesome. I don't know. It's so good. Because it makes you be like, what the hell? It puts you in a weird headspace, the whole movie. Because you're like... it's just great.
Tonally,
it is insane and hard. You can't peg it
down.
We cannot do it justice to the tonal.
Let's get to the insanity.
Okay.
Because what happens next?
He buys the house.
And then he comes into his house, and the back door is ajar, and he sees someone using the sink. Now, we only see the back of this person, but he's got long, stringy hair. And he has a cart, this disgusting, vile cart filled with strange objects covered in dirt, and it's...
He's making, God, the sounds he makes.
Oh, they're wonderful.
They're horrific. Just
horrific.
Like, it's just him breathing, but it's like... And you're like...
What if Pearl from Blade was having sex?
Right.
Those are the sounds.
Yeah.
And as this bizarre person walks out the back door, he takes his cart and it has a bicycle chain around one of the wheels.
Yeah,
so it creaks,
right.
And every time it does, it plays ice cream van sound music.
Well, I'm sure it's something that Chris Young composed because it sounds like that kind of shit. It's like,
it sounds
ding,
wonderful.
ding, 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 ding. Yeah,
right.
It's very circus music-y. Like the most of the score. It's great.
No, there's nothing in the movie, especially in this scene, where you don't question why. Why is that guy there? Why does he have a cart that has a mechanism that plays music?
This opening scene,
you know what I mean? Like, why?
The opening scene of him buying this house.
Why not?
That's what I'm saying too.
Not?
Yeah, right.
This whole scene is nothing but traps for you to fall into later in the movie. It's insane.
Yes.
Every item he interacts with becomes like this fucking... like very important thing. It's insane.
Because he's at the sink,
closing the door, doing the sink, looking at the book. Like everything he interacts with in this first scene is like the plot of the whole movie. It's kind of insane. Yeah. It's awesome. This movie's so good. And it's just crazy. I love the it's insane how...
Well, needless to say, he's pretty upset about this bizarre gentleman, so he has his friend come over that night to start cleaning the house and to put a deadlock on the door.
Right.
And his friend is Marty McFly's brother from Back to the Future.
Yeah, right.
And he's great in the movie, too. He's very... and
he's the straight guy.
He's the straight guy, and he says, look, let me stay over tonight. You seem scared, so he does. Now, Bill Paxton has a dream.
And
Well,
Bill
Bill
Paxton's
Paxton was
currently
like-
trying to
and Bill
clean the
Paxton,
sink at the
remember-
time.
Yes.
Bill Paxton for a moment was like, no, I don't need you to stay here. I'm fine.
Well, no,
And
we
I-
skipped something already because he's seen the guy before this happens.
Well, he did. He saw him.
I thought he saw him once more outside the house.
No, not yet.
Okay.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Because Marty McFly's brother is sleeping on the couch.
Yes.
And then upstairs, Bill Paxton is sleeping in his new bed.
New bed.
Right.
And he has a nightmare in which the titular vagrant comes and
But it's
touches
dude,
him.
oh my god.
Dude, this is why I fell in love with the
Touches
movie.
him.
This moment right here.
The nightmare sequences that happen are so good, and like I think that one started with the sink dripping.
Yes.
Like everything like has the sink dripping or the fire and the vagrant. It's so good.
And the vagrant touches his member.
Oh yeah,
Well, he touches
oh my
his-
god, he puts his hand on him.
His
We
hand is
haven't
number one.
seen
It's
his
an
hand.
appliance.
It's disgusting.
On his, it's like if you like Chris Elliott from Scary Movie 2, you'll
No,
love
it's
this
worse than
movie.
that.
It's
He
way
looks
worse
like
than
a
that.
bloated
It's like a
corpse.
bloated, like
Yeah.
garbage pail kid hand.
It
sick.
looks like
It looks like it's made out of bratwurst.
his
Like
fingers are only half as long as they should be.
Yep.
They're all broken.
Yeah.
So they don't fit straight. And he's just rubbing his thigh and his
But
and
he
being like,
touches his
Yeah.
foot
his
first.
foot and then goes up his leg slowly
Until he goes
into his pants.
Into
I was
his
like, what
boxers.
is this movie?
That's when he wakes up and is like, "What the fuck?" No. He gets.
Well, then it goes downstairs and we see the camera's going is slowly pushing in on
the friend.
the friend.
No.
and then
Because he takes the
The
he
light
sees
switch
him the
off.
light switch. Cover.
oh yeah, he stole
He's
the
like, "What the fuck?" And he wakes up.
he jerked me off and then he stole
Well,
the light
the
switch.
jerking him off was a dream, but then when he wakes up, he's standing over his bed staring at him, and then he takes the light switch cover off the wall and leaves, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then it goes
downstairs, and you see arms shoot down to choke him, and then it turns out that's Bill Paxton.
Yes.
And he's like, he's in the house, he's in the house.
One thing we got to be clear here, we've missed something else. What does the titular vagrant look like? Now, he is
Oh my
played
God.
by Marshall Bell.
He's got like one milky eye that's
He's
not
got
where it should be.
One milky eye. He's got a scraggly beard, a black-green
Dude, his
tongue.
His tongue is
Lizard
half his
teeth.
face is like a rash,
Yes.
sore thing going. It's like some kind of
The way I can describe it is, imagine a talking, walking hemorrhoid.
yes.
He's like a homunculus.
Yes. And he looks amazing.
I mean,
wearing,
no.
like, a
If you
scarf.
all you need on this guy is you put like a bandolier of bullets around him, he looks like he's Mad Max ready.
Oh,
You know what I
No,
mean?
He's
He's
better
sick
than
looking,
Mad
man.
Max.
Well, no, I'm saying, but you know what I'm
he is?
saying, though, right?
He's Madder Max.
He's like no, hold on. He's like
He's
Lord
mad as-
Humongous, like a lowly Lord
No.
Humongous peon.
You're giving Mad Max too much credit.
Mad Max
I'm
is
just
nothing
saying,
compared to the
this is-
Vagrant.
He looks
This
like he could
is-
live in that world.
No,
He's so sick.
better than that world, Bob.
He's a monster.
He's pretty sick looking.
He
He
is
is
really gross.
He is so good. He makes Freddy Krueger look like Frederick Krueger. Okay.
Fredman Krug.
Pardon me, children. May I enter your dreams? What a joke Freddy Krueger is compared to the Vagrant.
So hold on. All right.
Yeah.
So he wakes up.
He
his
looks
friend.
gross.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
disgusting.
And the makeup's great.
Chris
Obviously,
Wallace.
why wouldn't it be?
Chris
It's
Wallace,
Chris
the
Wallace.
Fly.
Yeah, right.
Academy Award.
So then he wakes up his friend. He's like, he's in the house. He stole my light switch cover, and his friend's like,
What?
the fuck, dude? You just tried to strangle me. Number one. And they go up to the room. And he's like, and the light switch cover is on the wall, and he's like, this light switch cover.
It's such
that's
an odd
missing?
thing, the light
I
switch.
know.
cover.
He's like, why? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's there. Like, you're just having a nightmare, man. You're stressed out from spending all this money. His friend has been laying the seeds of being like, man, I can't believe you bought a house. Like, that's really stressful. You know, that stress can do to you.
What would happen if he get fired? And Bill Paxton's like, don't say that.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
Good foreshadowing.
Right there.
The whole movie
right
has
there.
amazing foreshadowing.
Yes.
It's so
Yes.
well crafted, the story. Even though it seems like it's just fucking batshit crazy. It's
Well, it
so
is from
good.
the writer of Man of the House, starring Chevy Chase.
I mean, that script is
Tight!
We then set up the whole promotion thing where Bill Paxton's back at work and his boss comes up to him, who is played by the
Earl
actor-
Sinclair.
Earl Sinclair.
Or the guy from Second Sight.
Yes.
Oh my god!
And-
Earl
Second
Sinclair.
Sight's awesome. Come on.
And he, of course, says to Bill Paxton, where's the expense report? He's like, here, Mr. Feemster.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Mr. Feemster's his name.
Yeah.
Dude, everybody's name's insane.
He also has his
Kukowski,
secretary right behind him,
Yes.
right the whole
I
time.
love her.
Yeah,
she
she's
didn't
great.
say a word, but she was awesome.
Just looks the whole time. And the great thing about that is his boss is like, "Do you want to get fired today?"
Oh, no. First he looks at the report, and then he goes, "Would you like to be promoted to full analyst?" And he's like, "Oh, fuck yeah." And then he goes, "Or would you like to be fired right now?" And he's like, "Whoa."
Because that's not happening. And then he laughs at him. And again, a great character moment because Bill Paxton's like, "Thank you, Mr. Feemster.
Right.
Thank you." And he goes and buys some groceries.
Well, no, I love that. My favorite part of that scene was when he's like, "I'm just fucking with you," and he's like, "But you're a good, clean-cut kid. You work hard." And then he stands up to like shake his hand. And he goes, "Now don't be an ass kisser, Krakowski. Sit back down." Like that was awesome. Like, that was so good.
I love the office set too.
Yes,
I just want to say that it's so open plan 80s with all the computers all
like it looks like it could go on
dynamically
forever.
diagonal. Yes, it looks like it's infinite, like it's a Star Wars hall or something. Anyway, right?
You know what I love about that set?
Yeah.
It's not interesting.
No, it's very boring. It's repetitive.
And that's why we're going to get into this as we get towards near the end of the film.
Yeah.
I
Things
love...
more. Oh, you know what? That's a really good point.
Yes.
Because at the end of the movie, we're like, why is this taking place
here?
Exactly.
Right.
We'll get to it.
This movie's fucking genius! God damn it!
So he goes and buys some groceries.
Right.
He's walking through, and he sees through the boards the Vagrant, and he's eating meat,
Something.
raw
He's eating something.
meat
Yeah.
on a steak, feasting.
And he honestly looks, from the way it's shot, he looks like he's like tugging on himself.
No.
There's no, because he's like eating and he's like, this other arm
No,
was
he's
like
not
this.
doing that, Bob.
Really?
No, he's not
I
doing
thought
that
he was
at all.
masturbating.
No.
Okay, never mind then.
He was just eating his lunch.
Because what I love about the first,
Oh God, how crazy can I be that
the
this
first third of
thing might be masturbating?
the first third of the movie, I really did. You kind of almost feel like it's like Bill Paxton's just out of his mind
Not at all.
for being super normal.
Not at all.
And the Vagrant
No,
is like
up until this point, I thought the movie
but-
was about him actually being like, he was the bad person.
yes, that's what I'm saying.
It'd
Like,
be
I
like-
thought
yeah,
it almost the first
Kind of
couple
like
encounters
in the
kinda
Burbs,
set it
how
up.
if they weren't murderers, they would be the racist people. Because they, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he hates homeless people, even though this guy was just an innocent sick guy.
And let's just be clear about something real quickly. Let's get out of the way. Homelessness is terrible. It's horrible. This is a
Yes, it
fantasy
is.
movie.
It is a fantasy
This
movie.
is what I call a genre called hobophobia.
Oh my God!
Well,
I knew you were gonna say it.
Why? No, there's three great films in that genre. It's a limited genre because you had to stop. It's terrible. I think it's The Vagrant. It's definitely Slime City, and of course, the pinnacle of pinnacles, Street Trash.
Street trash.
This film is in the vein of Street Trash. The Vagrant.
I would throw Blade 2 in there as well.
Absolutely not.
Kung Fu fighting ninja.
Oh,
Come
please,
on.
get out of here.
Dressed like a homeless guy.
I object.
No, he's a vampire. Well,
He's a homeless vampire.
no, he's that is
He is a
secondary.
homeless vampire.
Being homeless doesn't define him, and that's why you're wrong.
Okay, fine.
So the Vagrant sees him through a hole in the boards
He
and
sees
starts
him eating his
approaching
meat.
him. And Bill Paxton drops his groceries like,
And then he can't pick him up.
He leaves him on the ground.
Yeah.
And what does the Vagrant take? Like a can of something?
His
Can of tuna.
disgusting, like pig.
Dude,
it looks
his
like
thing
a
is
hoof
nasty.
almost.
It's really gross. It's awesome.
it's so compelling visually. It's like watching Rembrandt.
all right.
God.
So then he gets home, and he's.
Every stroke is a shot. That's all you see.
Is this when he's in the kitchen at night?
This is when he first calls the police.
Yeah, because he's in the kitchen at night.
He goes
and he's-
right home and calls the police.
Yes,
Right.
runs in
Oh,
terrified.
you're right. Oh, yeah, because it ends in the shot of him on hold.
And he calls 911 and they put him on hold. And the most boring 90s elevator music starts playing.
And the way it just is so loud.
Yes,
so
and then the
loud.
scene just cuts away while he's just listening to it. It's
And
so
then-
good.
And it sounds like the girl from Ipanema. Like,
Yeah,
dun,
yeah.
dun,
Dun,
dun, dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun, dun, dun.
Then we cut to two cops sitting in a car.
Oh my god, the
Talking,
cops.
God, these cops are
It's
amazing.
it's amazing.
They're like, so what is he? What
What
is this guy doing? And he's like, well, he's living over there, making fires. It's not safe to have fires over there. And they're like, look, man,
Has he stolen any personal property?
Has he stolen anything? He's like, well, no. He can't come up with like a crime. And I love the cops. They're like, look, man, read the laws. There's nothing against being a human being trying to eat.
And,
and you're like, cops.
They're making him to be the bad guy for being so rude to this
Hence
poor
why
guy.
it seemed like that.
And he's like, well, he urinates in those bushes all the time.
And then the cops lower their sunglasses and then look at him.
Oh no, it's not lowering sunglasses. They both rip them off and both do a head twist and they go, urinating?
God. You saw him urinating on the bushes and he's like, well, and he goes, what? You need to have seen him. You can't just accuse somebody of urinating on bush, sir. This is America. People have rights.
Read the Constitution.
I love the assumption that a homeless guy isn't peeing outside. I love that. You know what I mean? Like,
the scene is so good.
You just revealed your own prejudice again.
But, I mean, come on.
No.
It's so good.
So they say we're going to need corroboration to make the urinating in public charge stand.
So they go to his neighbor's house.
His next door neighbor, who is she's a very nice old lady, and she can't hear anything, so she has a voice box you have to speak into.
She's like screaming at the top of her lungs.
Yes.
You have to talk louder, boys!
Because her husband's dead, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
right.
And she's like, can you have one a nice glass of lemonade? And Bill Paxton runs to the cops and goes, I've seen the vagrant. He's right there. We can catch him urinating.
Yeah,
the cops go to get the vagrant.
They say urination so many times.
They say Krakowski probably
so many times. Yes.
In the movie.
It's amazing.
His name gets repeated.
They want to drive home what his ethnicity is at some point. We'll get to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they drag the vagrant away in a cop car, and Bill Paxton is so scared he hides behind a tree.
But he sees him.
Oh, the vagrant turns around and lets out a fierce growl.
He's so good at doing that.
God, he's the best. He's a great guy.
Oh my God.
So they take him away, and he's just all freaked out. And then he's at home at night
cooking pasta sauce.
That's right, making pasta. And he looks out his window.
Well, we're forgetting an important point. As he's cooking pasta, he reads a note. A note is from a beautiful black-haired lady. She is gorgeous. Edie. Edie is going to be spending her vacation days with Mr. Krakowski. She's excited to see him. You get the impression that they live in cities away, but they went on a few dates. But they know each other. They went on maybe a few dates. And now she's like, you know what? I'm going to see if this is working. We're going to spend a few days together. And he's so excited. Edie's going to
I can't wait to see your new house.
Yes.
She's excited about the new house and everything, too.
And that's maybe one of the factors why he bought it as well.
Yeah,
to impress Edie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Look at me. I'm going to be something.
Right.
But he hears something and goes to the door, looks through the window, sees nothing. But when he looks back up, it's the vagrant.
Right.
Thus begins what I would call...
No. It doesn't happen that quick. He reads the thing... He looks out the window.
Isn't that when he's across the street?
Yeah, he sees him all the way across the street cooking more food.
And
then he's like, oh my God! And he's looking at him in binoculars. He's like, it's so
But then he looks out the window and the vagrant's right there.
He tries to call the police and they put him on a hold.
They put him on the whole same song
and
again.
The vagrant shows up and he freaks out and spills pasta sauce all over himself, knocks all this shit over.
And the phone falls apart in his hand. It's like
It's Tex Avery.
It's
a Tex Avery cartoon.
Avery.
It's great. It's the opening of Amazon Women on the Moon. It's wonderful.
The thing too that I find again,
the whole thing falls apart in half.
That's great about what we talked about is
or like a Pink Panther movie. How's that?
Bill Paxton's complaint to 911 is, "Oh my God, he's cooking." Like that's his complaint. He's just cooking. And the vagrant is eating what looks like a raw chicken wing and just putting his mouth and being like,
he's like sucking it.
Sucking it. That when the Bill Paxton flips back, lands on the tomato sauce, grabs 911, wraps the phone around his neck, the phone cord rips off, he crawls across the carpet, runs in the living room, covered in sauce. I mean, it is without a doubt, again, Buster Keaton, idiot.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton, genius.
Chumps! So wait, this is when he goes to find his cell phone.
We have to insult everything else.
Yes.
He goes to find his cell phone and he pops it open and he tries to call the police and then he just gives up.
He notices the vagrant is gone.
Right. He notices he's gone, right.
And I think too in that moment, it's that moment of sanity coming back where he's like, Edie's coming, I gotta get it together, I'm being ridiculous, this makes no sense.
Right.
And then I believe Edie shows up.
Well, hold on.
Security system.
I was going to say, because this incident makes him get the full package security system.
And his friend is like, dude, how are you paying for this? He's
It's-
like, I took out a second mortgage. He's like, that's even more dead. You're under
We
so
cut
much
to the
stress.
outside of his house, and there's workers all over the
Oh my
place.
God,
They're building a fence.
It
They're
turns
putting
into
everything
a
with bars on all the
fortress.
windows. Yeah, they're turning
It's
into
like
a fortress.
floodlight. It's like a prison yard. His house looks like a
Also,
prison
he says
yard.
to the guy in charge of the company, "Didn't you sell me a leaky roof?" And he's like, "No, it's not me.
I just have a
I have one of those
familiar
faces. This guy looks like the Penguin."
Well, that's, again, the visual style of this movie.
Yeah.
The house is becoming its own prison.
Right.
Wow. Wow, Chris Wallace. Wow.
There's some social commentary.
There
man.
is so much
There-
going on in
there
this
is.
movie that it looks like your own prison. And I'm sitting there just being like, you know what? God damn. God damn.
This is when you notice. This is when Bill Paxton goes from like, is he overreacting to being paranoid into like full blown crazy because his friend's like, why the fuck are you spending all this money? And he goes, let me show you something. And he takes him across the street and he does like a crime scene investigation of the homeless guy's camp.
Because he has the barbecue and he's walking around the barbecue.
He's like, he leaves every morning before I come out for work. But I followed him one day. Like he talks about how like he hunted him down. He's like, because that was hysterical. He's like, he lost me at one point.
we don't even
Dude,
see
he can
that.
barely move and he's dragging that big cart and he's like, he lost me. It's like, what?
We don't see that. He says, "I followed him." We didn't see any of that.
Yeah, he says it seems like
You're-
time passed.
You're forgetting, though, the best line from that whole speech,
Which
which
was?
is, dang, he has a really good life for being a street vagrant. Which is, again, the criticism of the boring office worker doing the 9 to 5 versus this awesome guy who gets up really early, comes back home at 6:15, and has a reasonable lifestyle and seems to really like himself.
Also, Ziccardi, his friend actually in this scene accuses him of being a little bit prejudiced against the homeless guy.
Yeah.
He's
Saying
like, he's just a guy that's down on his luck, man. You better lay off of him.
Yeah, he's going to move away in 3 days.
Yeah,
Just let him
go.
Let him be.
Dude. Like, the movie really makes you want to hate Bill Paxton a little bit. Like,
oh, it does.
Right, like, yeah. It gives
really
you no
does.
reason so far to think the Vagrant's evil.
Yeah.
I would say
That's why it's so good. It's
this
so
is
fucking
the first hour of this movie does something which I think couldn't be done. It makes Bill Paxton unlikable.
Yeah, he's pretty unlikable.
He's really unlikable.
He's
in the
playing
first hour.
against type this whole movie.
Oh, no, I would say the last 30 minutes.
Up until now.
Yes.
Like, so far, this is not a Bill Paxton role you would normally cast.
No,
him
and I think that's why
at
it works. Because
Yeah,
you want to like him, and you're like, I hate this guy, but it's Bill Paxton.
Because Bill Paxton's not bland. If anything, if there's anything about Bill Paxton, he's not a bland character actor.
No, he is
Ever.
as saucy as that sauce he was cooking in the kitchen.
Right.
So this is when he's driving Edie to the house.
Yes.
And she's like, let me guess which one's yours. And it's like, and that's when we first see the finished security system. And it looks like a fortress. It looks like he lives
There's
in a fortress.
floodlights all around the compound. It's insane.
It's such a small house. There's like, I don't know, 20 floodlights on like
The
this
only
single-
thing that I would have
It's
said,
like a 1-bedroom home. It's not even that big. So.
I was the only thing I can't believe they didn't add was barbed wire around the top of the fence.
That would have been too far.
That would have been a little
Way
too
too
far.
far.
Yeah, a bit too far.
That's what I said when we were watching this movie's like. It comes right to the edge of like all being absurd.
Yes.
But it won't go over the line until I guess the end. But even then,
Oh, I disagree with you so much.
I still don't think it goes.
You
over
are
the
so
end.
wrong.
Dude,
Yet
it's
again.
pretty nuts.
It's nuts, but it's like it's not willing to be like. Admittedly, we are making this as dumb as possible. Like they reined it into a level.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's not just like stupid for the sake of being stupid. It's stupid to like the perfect level that makes this story work. And the whole
I
thing
find
work.
it insulting that you call it stupid. I call it brilliant.
Well, yes, but it's stupidly brilliant. No. It's.
Another John Williams fan over here.
I guess
You like
you
that whale movie, huh?
I love whales.
Guess you like Star Battle too, huh?
The Empire gets revenge. Yeah.
But you know what? I'm not saying stupid, but I mean like absurd. Like
like a Tim Burton movie or something like that.
kind of.
Yeah.
Like it's just not. It's not willing
Like
to go to
Beetlejuice
like,
is absurd.
Here is
you
what
know.
I view this movie as. It's a fairy tale. It reminds me so much of a fairy tale. Like if I was a little kid, when I imagine what a fairy tale is, this is my vision. Everything is heightened like 1 degree, but it's not 10 degrees.
You know what it is? It's that it's kind of the theme of the whole movie, which we can't ruin. But I guess I'll just wait till later.
We'll get
because
to
it's
the end,
yeah.
We're gonna get
I can't
We're
ruin
going to get to the end.
Because
I
it
think I
literally,
understand.
the movie literally says it all.
There's
so.
only 3 people in the movie who go into the absurd.
Yes.
And all 3 of them like make a decision kind of to do it, and everyone else in the movie is like right at the edge of something could just say like their actions seem like they're in absurdity, but they finally step into that realm, and they're the ones who get to live in it.
The only 2 people that are actually normal human beings are Edie and the best friend.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only 2 people in this movie that it seemed like normal human
I'd
beings.
argue almost just the best friend.
Yeah.
Edie almost seems like she's playing a part at the end there.
Well, one
Losing my
thing.
voice.
I don't think she loved him.
Well,
yeah, let's move on. Let's move on.
Well, that is actually that's a great segue for my next point.
No, that's a good point.
Edie comes into the house and goes, "Oh, I didn't know they left the furniture with the house."
But it was his furniture.
With his
He's just
furniture.
like,
Yeah,
That's-
he thought it was done.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can see the pain in his face that it's such a subtle insult, but he doesn't want to make her think that it is. So he goes, and she goes, "We'll go furniture shopping together." And he goes, "Well, I'm on a tight budget." And she's like,
You have a
"It'll be
credit
great.
card?
You have a credit card."
It'll be fun.
And right away.
That seemed like another theme of the movie, like he was going to go broke.
Yes.
Doing,
yes.
fixing his life to be what it should be.
To make her happy.
To make, and himself
again,
safe.
That makes him so boring.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
we don't show them buying anything, but in the next scene in the house, everything has this incredibly tacky New Mexico Pueblo feel to the house.
But it's like pastel
all
Pueblo.
pastel Pueblo.
It
It's
reminded me of
awful.
like
It's so bad.
it reminded me of like if you go down to the ocean and how stuff's decorated down the ocean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
It's
all
like
like
just tacky, southwestern,
style.
and then there's some seashells and shit in there. It's terrible.
Yeah, but instead of
Yeah.
seashells, you get
It-
fucking metal cacti
Cacti
all over
and
the
stuff,
wall.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like what if Tex-Mex was a fashion style?
Right,
That's
right.
the house.
Roy Rogers fashion.
Yes.
But they
Right.
fuck before that. Because she's like, we can go shopping for the things and it'll be great.
And they have a night of sex.
And then they
Yes.
fuck, and he has a nightmare that night.
Yes, which again, there's a very subtle thing in that nightmare
Yep.
where he's going through his closet and she goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "There's got to be a secret passage."
Well, no, he sees him again.
Yes, he sees him in the dream again.
He like.
Well, what happens in
it's
the
like
dream, right?
What the dream was just, I think he just pops up and goes, blah, 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 blah,
Right,
which
it's
is
just that,
hysterical
yes.
because it's like a haunted house scare.
Yeah, right.
Which makes the end of the movie
It's a
even
jump
better.
scare. It's
yeah,
a jump
well,
scare.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Bill Paxton says there must be a secret passageway in this house.
Is how he's getting in.
How is he getting in? And
Right.
she's like, "You're sleepwalking. There's nothing going on."
Well,
It's
she
all in our
asks
head."
him, she goes, "Are you sleepwalking?" And he goes, "Yes." His responses are all like way too long. Anytime anybody asks him a question and he
He
thinks
has to think about it.
he has to think
What
about
do they want to hear?
Yeah, what
Yes.
does this person
Yes.
need to hear
Right.
from me so that I'm good?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And he does it there again. She's like, "Are you sleepwalking?" He's like, "Yes."
There's one thing
Sorry,
Matt
I
brought
should
up.
have told you.
Matt brought up, which I loved, is you do start to think, is this a Lost Highway psychogenic fugue situation?
Yeah,
where
seriously.
he and the Vagrant are one and the same.
I did say that. I
Yeah.
was like, is this
I
gonna
just
be like
assumed that he was going to turn into the Vagrant at the end or something crazy like
That's
that.
why I said it was like
Yeah.
a werewolf curse.
Yeah,
of
right,
homelessness
right.
or something. Like, it
But
was
the
gonna
movie
be
makes
Bill
sure that
Paxton
other people
homeless.
see him. So
Bill Paxton becomes like a
We know they're
homeless Mangle
separate.
band.
And that happens in the next scene.
Right.
With, oh my gosh,
Right.
this sandwich scene.
it's best.
It's Bill Paxton
Comes home from work.
Comes home from
Because there's a
work.
Well, no,
there-
there's a work scene. He goes to work. That's the Polish scene happens.
Yes!
His boss comes up.
Czechoslovakian.
his boss
Oh,
brings
Czechoslovakia,
the
sorry.
higher up boss there. 'cause
Or no,
he's-
it's someone they're trying to get a deal.
they're trying to get a deal
Yes.
with, right?
trying to kind of deal with, and he's like, "Hey, you're
Hey, Krakowski.
Krakowski, you're Czechoslovakian,
Czechoslovakian,
aren't
right?
you?" And he's like, "I mean, it's
I
my
guess, sir,
grandma,
yes.
my mother," and he just like shuts him up. And then he's like, "You know, I was gonna give Krakowski here a promotion
Later today.
later today. Why don't I just do it right now in front of you, and then give you the day off?" What do you say, Krakowski? And he's like, "Thank you, Mr. Feemster," and like runs away.
No, but then he
Oh.
whispers and he goes, "Say some Czech shit to him right now."
He goes, "Push the Czech shit, push the Czech
And he
shit."
says something to him. We're all, and the
And
guy's
the-
like,
The guy makes a weird face,
Yeah.
and then he leaves.
But
They show them getting
the
on the
secretary's face.
Oh,
She turns around to Krakowski and does this giant wink to it.
there's a weird thing in this movie how women are all about Bill Paxton.
Because he's so boring.
He's so. No, you're right. I'm
safe.
He's
like
so safe.
He's
shit.
safe. He's the
Yeah.
safe option, and that's like super attractive.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Because-
not interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as they go in the elevator, he's like, what did he say? He says, make sure you wash your hands after you use the bathroom.
Like, what? Okay.
And he like pans to the camera as the doors close, like it's a cartoon.
Right.
It's so good. It's so good.
So he comes home from that, and in the living room.
Well, no.
right?
First, he's driving home. He's got the balloons and the
Oh,
chocolates
and
the flowers.
Oh, right.
He's driving
Yes.
home, and there's all this commotion near his house, and there's a dead body, and all these people are like, I think it's a transvestite prostitute. Like, I don't know. That was the ADR.
No,
like,
that's literally what they
I know,
said.
I know.
That's literally what they said.
It turns out
It was the old
the
lady
old
next
lady
door.
next door is killed.
Because
and
we
he
see
is
her
like
like
voice
hearing
box.
device.
Yeah, he
voice
sees the
box.
cop walking by, wiping
Right.
the blood off of it, and he goes, "Oh my God, Miss Whatever, I can't believe it!" And he goes, "Edie!" and he jolts home,
Races
bursts
home.
through the door, goes, "Edie, I'm home!" It just comes to a dead stop, drops everything, and then,
And
it's
then
just-
you see the vagrant sitting at the kitchen table wearing a bathrobe
Bring a
Eating a
bathrobe.
sandwich.
and eating a sandwich deliciously.
Dude, he looks him in the eye and eats that chip like such a
Yeah.
dick bag. It's so good.
Yeah.
Tastes good.
Right.
He just like stares at him in silence for a while, and then
Just
the baker
screams at
goes,
him.
"Bah!" and he runs away.
Upstairs. We runs upstairs, and his girlfriend's up there taking a shower.
Well, no.
Which is the-
All we know is the
which is
shower's
why-
running.
The shower's running.
Yes.
The shower's running, and he puts his hand on the door because he's like, oh my God, I'm going to find my girlfriend dismembered. Opens it, and she's fine.
She's
Right.
naked. She screams. She's like, "What the
For
fuck
a
you
second,
doing?"
I thought the vagrant was going to be in the bathroom too, like watching his body. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Dude, when he fell over with all the pasta, I thought that was the end of the movie going anywhere. I was like, this, the whole rest of the movie is him stuck in this house trying to not get killed by this fancy homeless guy. But
Right.
he's like, what the fuck are you doing
doing?
showering? There's a maniac in the house that murdered the neighbor. She goes, I gave that guy a sandwich. He's nice. And he's like, why are you showering when there's a strange man in the house? She goes, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. You're doing something wrong. And he's like, what?
Once again, the movie
The
wagging its finger at him.
Yeah.
Yes,
They're like, what
making
is
you
your problem?
think that Bill Paxton's the crazy one,
Yep.
and the vagrant is the victim.
Right.
Now, Bill Paxton locks the door and says, you
goes,
stay in
yeah,
here.
he's
You
like,
stay in here.
Lock the door. Stay in here. He's terrified.
Rushes downstairs, calls 911, and the rule of threes in comedy always works. The 911 operator says, what now, Mr. Krakowski?
Right.
Which leads us to the introduction
Right.
of Detective Barfus.
Well, he looks out the window
Well, he
while
looks
he's on
out
the
the window,
phone,
And Michael Ironside's standing there looking down. He
Well,
just
no,
looks
no, no.
up.
Before he sees the vagrant,
He
leave
sees
the
the
house.
vagrant,
The vagrant
yes.
leaves the house like before. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
vagrant is very good at like just disappearing
At the
as
moment,
soon as he's done screaming at.
and then he looks out his like door hole window, and
It's Michael
Michael
Ironside's
Ironside's looking down. He looks up. He goes,
What if he's
"Barfus."
picking his
He
nose?
says his name. He's picking his nose.
staring at the
He's
ground.
picking
and
his
he goes,
nose. And he says Barfus. And like, who says
"Oh."
their
It's
name?
like, what?
Right.
And
He's
then
like,
that other
"Excuse
guy
me?"
steps
and he's
out.
like, "I'm Detective Barfus." And the other guy tests his, and he says,
He comes in that framing is so small. It's
amazing.
awesome. That guy's head pops into the last.
and he says
space.
something. What does he
goes,
say?
Homicide.
Homicide. Right. Right. And then he lets him in, and instantly, Michael Ironside picks his nose again, and he flicks it on the floor. It's
Oh,
great.
man.
Detective Barfus is probably Michael Ironside's best performance.
It's great.
And Michael Ironside's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
Barfus right away treats Krakowski like he's a human beetle.
Yes.
Like, where did this vagrant come from? How often you seen him?
No,
What's
he's
he done anything?
interrogating him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he pushes Bill Paxton up to the fridge and goes, I know everything that's going on. And he
Well,
goes,
hold on.
well, Edie can tell you.
Hold on. He sits down at the table and he says, "What exactly was in the sandwich?"
Yeah, he's like, what
Which
kind
is
of sandwich was
amazing.
it? And he's like, well, I don't
And then
know.
Bill Paxton's like, "Is that even important?"
And Michael
And that's how he
Ironside,
pushes it up again. It's fucking amazing. That's what sets him off.
It's so, yeah, it's good.
It's so good.
and Barfus
then
said, he's like, well, Edie would know. Nothing gets by me. She's right behind you. And Michael Ironside does a spit take that is so funny. And Edie's like, Sir, I'm sorry. My boyfriend's just making this up.
Right.
Like, this is a harmless man, and Barfus gives him the biggest death stare, like, you son of a bitch. You
I love this
dirty,
scene.
lying bastard. Barfus leans, and it does a hard
No,
cut.
no. Barfus goes, he chastises him, and then he goes, and what are those flowers doing on the floor? And like screams at him, and he goes, oh, and then it turns into this.
No,
the end of it. I love the end of
He
the scene.
hands her the flowers.
He picks it up and he goes, they were for you. And
to
she
celebrate
goes,
my promotion. And she goes, I wish none of this ever happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then the scene ends.
I love the end
What
of that
the
fucking
fuck
scene.
is that? This is insane.
By
They
the
were
way,
for you. I wish this never happened.
By the way, we did forget the dream sequence where the Vagrant was having sex with Edie.
I thought that was next.
That's the next one.
No, that was beforehand. He has a dream sequence after the Vagrant.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, where he's having
You're
sex
probably
with
right,
Annie.
but Edie leaves in a taxi.
That's
She's-
the first one after he leaves because the
Oh.
hallucinations go from just him being scared to now being like,
the Vagrant.
she left me because they go to sleep.
Yeah,
But
he's-
what is it hard cuts to what after the cop leaves?
It hard cuts to her in the taxi leaving.
Yeah.
No, he
Yes.
wakes up being asleep, and you just hear her screaming. She's just like, Graham, wake up.
Yes.
And
he walks
she's not in the
downstairs
room.
and he opens the door to the...
And then it
and
just
it's
cuts to her face without seeing where she is, and she's like, look, I realize you're going through some stuff.
Well, no, she's like, I think you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it together. You're gonna succeed. You're gonna do great. I'm really rooting for you. And the cab takes
Right.
off, but she still looks at him, and the cab goes out of frame, and it's an odd fade, but it almost looks like she's just going off into nothingness.
Right.
And again, I said to myself, Da Vinci, peon. Chris Wallace, God.
So she's gone. He like
He only
stares down the
directed
road.
3 movies.
You know what?
That's it.
Well,
He said
two movies, one Tales from the Crypt
One-
episode.
I was counting Tales from
That's
the
okay.
We have
Yeah.
got to go through this movie faster.
I know. It's because we're loving it.
I know, it's
it's a
so
love
good.
fest.
We
What's
haven't
next?
got even
What's
to the
next
second
scene?
world that
I
this
know.
movie lives in. It's a whole nother movie we haven't got to.
I know. What's the next one?
Well,
This is when he starts being. I can't remember what the next scene is.
Well, he does. I thought after this is
She leaves and
he has the dream that emasculates him about the Vagrant
having
having sex with Edie.
Yes,
Which
and
is
it's
great.
He's
passionate.
having doggy
It's so
style
good.
sex with Edie.
She looks like a Poison music video.
Yeah.
She's got wet hair. She's like, oh yeah, and the Vagrant's like, ah. It's beautiful.
Right.
It's like literally hell on earth.
Yes.
And the red lighting, it's
Right.
terrifying. Now I think we can condense things a little bit going forward here. I think there's just a lot of sequences of him thinking there's a noise, looking for the Vagrant. I think we can.
He's slowly going
no,
insane.
no, no,
slowly
no, no,
going
no, no.
insane.
The morning. Okay, with the morning.
Well, the Miss
hold on.
Danzig comes in.
The morning.
No.
Hold up. But
Go
the
ahead.
morning that Edie leaves him, when he wakes up, he goes to grab his glasses, and he can't put them on because one of the sides is missing.
And there's garden
And
shears.
then there's
next to
garden
eyes.
shears and
Yes.
the rest of his glasses on the nightstand. He's like, what the fuck?
Who would do that?
Yeah, why would someone do that? And then it's a bunch of that. He like wakes up because he has the nightmare about fucking her, and I think that's when he wakes up late for work because his alarm was off, or is that
The wires
The
are cut.
wire's been snipped to the
wire's been
alarm,
snipped.
Yeah.
and he's late for work.
His
Yeah.
clock says it's 3:42 a.m., but it's not.
No.
Right.
Now, I think we should note before we get to, I think we're going to get to the next moment at one thing before we get to the next big moment. There are small, subtle scenes where he's reading the book that he had found
that's right.
on the bathroom.
And there's dog-eared. It's starting to be dog-eared.
Yes, he has yellow Post-its with notes on the Post-it, so he's really it's like a fantasy nerd reading Tolkien. Like, let me underline this passage. I learn Elvish. It's very fascinating, very subtle.
Right.
Not saying I'm reading this book. It's a visual medium film.
Yeah.
That's how film works. Now, so the next big point is.
Open
he
your fucking
smells-
Ears,
he
man.
smells
Well, he's
something.
walking downstairs reading the
book.
No.
Yeah, yes.
Because
He's-
it's when the
No,
fork's
no,
in the
no,
wall.
no.
Yes, he is. Let's just skip to this point.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. He's reading the book and smells something. Go downstairs. He finds a dead
There's
rat.
a fork in the wall, and he's
Yes. Sniffs the rat, and he goes, "It's not the
That's
smell."
not the rat,
He
yeah.
finds the box of chocolates that he bought for Edie. but he opens it, and it's the fingers of his neighbor. And
Which we know because they said it on the news.
Yes, they did.
Yes. They show him sleeping, watching the news one night. Well, the night before Edie leaves. That's what it is. While he's watching the news. I love every news broadcast. Because there's another thing.
Because they don't give a shit. They're just like...
no, it's super absurdity, but it's played so fucking straight. It's amazing. It's perfect.
Yeah.
The news is just like horrific. What does he say? He's like, I repeat, she was not sexually molested.
And now, sports.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, right. No, you're right.
That's why he stays up, or like he's like doesn't wake up when she gets out of bed.
Yes, so
he stays up watching the news, freaking
They
out.
call Dr.
Oh, and he also says something to her when he thinks she's asleep.
Well, hold
but
on.
then
He
she
finds
opens her eyes and is like, kind of has the look of like, oh fuck, he's crazy.
Where we were, Ziccardi said he found the fingers, and then he looks over, and the Vagrant's right there.
Yes.
And the Vagrant actually gets up and takes his little cart and goes out the storm door of the basement, and that's how he's been getting in the house.
Exactly, the secret passage.
The secret passage to the house is revealed.
It's amazing because he screams and falls over onto the Vagrant, who's just reading a book or something. Isn't he reading?
Yeah.
He's just sitting on it back there reading a book, and then as soon as he looks up and sees him, he goes. And then grabs this thing and like laughs his way out of the hatch. It's so cartoonish.
Right, no, but
it's amazing.
we have an answer for how this all has been happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
I love that he didn't check the basement ever through all this. Through all this.
That's what we missed. Before this, he has lunch with his friend because it shows all the things of him waking up and finding shit weird, and he's eating lunch with his friend, and he screams in the restaurant, "What if they know I killed her?" And everyone in the restaurant's like,
no, because that scene is genius, because that is when he says what the audience is thinking. He's like, what if I'm the killer? What if I'm the asshole? What if I'm seeing all this because of my own paranoia?
His friend goes, what happened to the Vagrant? He's like, don't forget about that.
I don't think he exists.
I don't even think he's real. I did all this. It's so good.
The movie is like punching you from both directions.
And after the finger
then
scene,
you finally
his friend comes here, puts a blanket on him, and sees it. I was right the whole time. But Barfus and the partner go, wait a minute here. You had a dead rat stinking up your house and it took you that long to find it? And he's like, well, I didn't think. And they are so offended by that again, you start thinking to yourself, maybe the Vagrant's fake. Maybe it's still Bill Paxton.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And at that point, we have the moment where he decides he's going to sell the house. So he is asleep, listening to loud rock music.
Wait, does that happen yet?
Hold on. Yeah.
Oh, the court case happens first.
No, it doesn't. No.
Okay.
Trust me on this one.
Because they take the fingers and he's describing the Vagrant.
Okay. I'm with you.
Like that. Yeah, this is when he like goes in full meltdown mode.
He's in full meltdown mode, and the Vagrant comes in. Bill Paxton's falling asleep. There's a shotgun on his lap, and the Vagrant takes the shotgun, puts it up to his mouth. Bill Paxton's mouth. Puts Bill Paxton's finger on the trigger. The music hits, and you think Bill Paxton's blown his own head off, but no, it's just another dream.
Right.
He wakes up and he's like grabbing his neck, and he's like, "What the fuck?" There's loud ass music playing.
Yes.
We forgot about that. He bought this crazy security system, and part of it is that it
plays
just
music
plays
so you think you're having a party or something.
Yeah, when you're not home, it just plays really loud music all the time. Because his girlfriend was like, "What is this about?" And he's like, "Oh, it just does this all the time."
There's a knock on the door.
Right.
Oh my God.
And he has the shotgun. He cocks it. He opens the door, and who is it but Ms. Danzig? And
she's like,
it's nighttime, and she goes, "I'm sorry to bother you, Mr. Krakowski, but I heard that you are interested in selling the house." And he's like, yes, I am. I'm in a bit of financial dire straits. And he looks insane. He looks like
he's got like makeup on to make him look like a zombie.
And she looks down at the shotgun and rubs the tip of it and goes, I didn't know you hunt.
No, when he answers the door, she goes, I didn't know you hunted. Then they talk a little bit more, and then when she's rubbing it, she goes, I really want to, I want to go inside because I really want to handle your property.
Oh, yes.
Or your property.
Great line.
And then they have this weird sex scene where two humans that don't know what sex is.
Yeah, they sound like they're fucking, but they're definitely
just rolling around on the floor. It's awesome.
At one point, he puts a lampshade over her head.
Yeah, it's really odd.
It makes 9.5 weeks look like 9.5 minutes. It's the best sex scene on film.
You're just insulted.
You gotta burn, scorch the earth. Only movie left is Vagrant.
Vagrant, that's it.
It's great.
Oh, it's been an hour. Man.
You gotta burn through it. You gotta burn through it.
So then, all right. So then they fuck like crazy. He wakes up the next morning,
and his room is filled with doors.
Every door to every cabinet and window, everything is taken out of his house. The Vagrant is letting him know you will never be safe ever. And there's just the room is full of doors.
He finds a note. It says, "I find you a door."
No.
She says,
it's a note from Danzig first.
Let me, guys.
But you're gonna take forever.
No, I won't.
We just had the alarm off.
It says, "I didn't want to wake you up" in her handwriting, and then underneath in blood, it's "I adore you" in blood.
Oh,
and he goes downstairs.
Like, what the fuck?
And he's freaking out, and then an entire SWAT team comes.
Okay, and it's like 7 vans.
He's walking through the house with a shotgun, and it shows the cops. It's Michael Ironside's doing something else gross again. He's
biting his fingernails.
He's biting his fingernails and flicking it in the back seat where someone's sitting. So good. And then the guy's like, "Look, we're gonna keep an eye on this fucking crazy wacko or whatever." He's like, we gotta play it cool and do everything slow or whatever. And then the partner goes, he walks right up to the front of the house because there's no doors left with a shotgun looking like a zombie. And this guy's, he looks like he's armed, sir. He's like, call him in. And then 6 black vans fill up the street, blocking everything. And they cut Dremel holes in the wall with all guns. Automatic machine guns through.
It's insane.
And they're like, all right, wait for him to make his first
move. The partner pulls a gun on Ironside and goes, "No, play it slow, play it safe," and pulls out a 45 Magnum. And then they just start demolishing
guys
him
with assault rifles.
Well, he makes a noise inside, right?
He walks up to the door and he's trying to figure out how the Vagrant did it. And there's a Band-Aid over the security tab. He goes, huh? And he pulls it. The alarm goes off. It's so fucking loud. He shoots his shotgun. They just lay waste to his house. It's this crazy gunfire, just bullet. It's like the animal.
It's great.
I think that's why the house might have been shaped like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
With the wall, when they built the wall around, and it has the weird shape to the front of the house, and then they just shoot the whole goddamn
We're putting together this brilliant puzzle piece.
Yeah, it's genius.
Needless to say, Ms. Danzig did not show up to work.
Right. And somebody called in.
Somebody called in, and they open the partner. This is off screen. The partner, Detective Barfus, opens up the fridge and comes back and is almost about to throw up.
Right.
And they look in the fridge, and her severed head and hands have been tied up like a Thanksgiving turkey.
Her feet are yeah.
Well, before that, though, he's on the ground, splayed on the ground with all the cops with the guns on him, and he tries to show them the note.
And they almost shoot him.
They all go to shoot him, and Michael Ironside goes, he's cool. Or whatever. What does he say? He's like, it's okay. It's okay. It's like, dude.
Nothing is okay.
None of this is okay. You wanted him to be dead already. He just filled this house full of holes.
It's so good.
And then they come in, he's like, she's in the fridge. They show it, and her feet are barbed wire to her head.
And he's still not sure if he did it or not.
No, he's not. He's gone full blown insane at this point.
Right.
So they arrest him in this bizarre, it's almost like dreamlike, where he's getting his mug shot. He's walked through all these reporters snapping cameras, and his best friend shows up in the middle of the photographers and says, "Don't worry, Mr. Feemster's going to get you the best lawyer, going to get you out of here."
Right.
Then takes out his own little mini camera and starts snapping photos of his friend.
Him. Right.
Which only adds to the level of insanity at this point.
Because it looks like, for maybe budgetary reasons, they weren't shooting in a jail. It was just like chicken wire.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It looks like it was just like a white room with chicken wire. But it all seemed really weird.
But this is the court case, right?
Well, then Mr. Feemster shows up in a disguise.
That's right.
Looking like King Tut.
Yeah, what is the goatee? He has this goatee.
It's a disguise because you don't want people to see that he's still associated with it.
Right.
So then we have the trial.
He's like, there's no
attorneys. No. They're not coming.
They're not coming. So he's
like, but I'm innocent. And he's like, whatever, dude.
The movie, I feel like this is a huge turning point for the movie.
It is.
The court case.
The court case is what I call...
Dude, the whole court case is shot like a Batman episode. Like Adam West Batman. Everything is crooked.
Oh, it's...
Every shot is like a Dutch angle or whatever. Like, everything is super disorienting. I guess
it reminded me of the Brian De Palma Mission Impossible dinner scene when he throws the gum at the. Everything is low shot. Everything is up the nostrils to make it so imposing. And the public defender has this nerdy bow tie. And he's like, looks at the prosecutor and goes, "That guy sure is good.
That guy sure is good."
Yeah, that guy has his mom on the stand. He goes, Did your son? Did he not like bruise this girl's arm in an act of aggression? And she's like,
at 4 years old.
Well, no, he didn't say her age.
Yeah,
he
right.
just says the date. He's like on August 5th, like 1970.
Yeah, right.
And she's like, well, yeah. And he's like, no further questions. She's like, his mom freaks out. She's like, what? No more further questions.
He was 4 years old. Then she
has a heart attack. And dies in the courtroom.
And then it shows a juror goes, "That poor boy." And it's like, what is happening?
So he gets acquitted.
It breaks to a news reporter being like, "Not guilty, not guilty."
A sympathy because his mom
died
on the stand. This dude butchered a woman as far as
I'm pretty sure. Doesn't it show Michael Ironside in his office being like, "I can't believe this shit." Watching it on the news.
What it shows first, the camera,
the mouse hunt shot, right?
The camera pans up to them wheeling his dead mother's body out.
Next to him, she falls out
and slides down the stairs as her naked feet jiggle in the air. And you camera pans him to Bill Paxton just looking at his best friend being like, "Well, tough luck, buddy." And then it cuts to Barfus being like, "That son of a bitch got away. Beat the rap."
And like, no one acts like this is weird that he got off on a murder charge because his mom died.
No, that's this movie's super strange because that's a strange thing. The Vagrant, Bill Paxton, and this is where Barfus decides to join them.
Well,
in like madness, like he is now decidedly part of their madness.
I disagree with you. I don't think Barfus is part of the madness at all. I think Barfus is just a diehard cop and is angry that this guy got off on a technicality or a sympathy vote. Because at this point...
No, think about
No, I disagree with you. I think Barf is just insane to begin with. I don't think he ever joined the craziness, man. But Bill Paxton then decides to lead a new life. He gets in his car and drives off into the desert. He stops at what looks to be a rundown gas station.
Right.
But then the camera pans and you realize it's a trailer park. And he knocks on the door.
He also has a new car at this point, right?
It's a station wagon.
It's a station wagon.
There's a price tag on it. It's $699.
Right. Like the movie literally just cuts to a new life.
New life.
Yeah.
And the trailer park, they need a manager. The guy who pretty much is the major domo is named X-Ray. He is a blind gentleman.
It's just so out there. Like, okay.
No, but he's a great character.
He's a great character.
Lovable. And he says, "What are you running from?" And he pauses and goes, "Oh, Lady Troubles," right? And Bill Paxton's like, "Yeah, Lady Troubles. What's your name?" Jeffrey Kramer. The most boring... Jerry Kramer,
right.
The most boring white guy name you could have. So X-Ray goes, "Okay, you're hired. You're going to be the new manager." He goes into his trailer park, and Bob and I talked about this actually when we were watching the movie. In the beginning of the movie, when he pulls up with Ms. Danzig to the house he's going to buy, his car goes from left to right in the frame. The camera pans up, you see the house, and it looks really nice.
It's also the way you read. It's a standard, normal...
It's how you read.
Good stuff comes from the left, and bad stuff comes from the right.
And his car comes from the right, and you see this dilapidated miniature trailer with an air conditioning unit the size of the Empire State
Building.
Building.
It was a building. Yeah. I thought it was a building in the distance. That's how big it is.
It's a left frame, right frame
exactly
kind of thing. He was boring and simple and measured. Now he's interesting.
Right.
Yes. So it's dilapidated conditions. A woman comes to the door. Her name is Dodie. She's a very nice, bubbly lady.
She's been in a lot of stuff.
Tons of stuff. And bakes him a coconut cake, and he thanks her for it. And then he goes to sleep that night.
And she's into him.
And she's in. Oh, yeah, she likes him.
Because all women are into Bill Paxton still in this movie. Yeah.
And he has another dream where he can feel the Vagrant's presence. Also, when he got to the gas station, you could hear the slight chime of the Vagrant's music, but then it filtered out. It was like, oh, I'm going to forget about that now. I'm going to start a new life. But he has this other dream. So he wakes up, bangs his head, concussion, blood everywhere, runs to Dodie's trailer and goes, Dodie, you need to help me. Right. So she brings him back to his trailer and he goes, handcuff me and you take the key and every morning you can unlock me.
He's also covered in his own blood.
Yes.
I think it's important to note.
She's still fine.
She's like, so into it.
And shoves the key down her breasts.
And what's she do then, Matt?
Then she gives him a blowjob while he's handcuffed to the bed and not wanting it to happen, but then is finally just like, all right, I guess.
He just gives in.
Well, yeah, she blows him and fades to black, and then it cuts to him looking like Joe Dirt. Sleeveless, plaid shirt, mullet, like sitting there drinking a beer in the dust.
Next to X-Ray.
Just chilling out with a dog and a beer.
Yeah, he's fully in the trailer life.
Yes, and he's laughing and he's having a great time. And X-Ray tells him, you're doing a great job. And, Miss Dodie sure is happy, but there's one problem. She doesn't like the fact you keep cutting holes in her underwear every morning. And you can see Bill Paxton's face.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that.
Right.
There's something off here. There's something wrong. But X-Ray laughs it off, but Bill Paxton's face, you can smell. You can smell the trepidation. Is the madness returning? So he goes to bed that night. X-Ray's doing laundry in the yard. And he's blind, so he has to feel everything. And Bill Paxton wakes up and looks, and you can see the handcuff is broken.
Right.
And
it's been snipped, cut. Yeah.
And there is a giant hatchet on his chest, and he's covered in blood. And X-Ray feels the corpse of his beloved dog and screams out in pain.
I thought it was Dodie at first.
No, I knew it would be Dodie.
No, he says his name. He says.
I know he does say
it.
it.
Yeah, Pepper the dog, and he runs out. X-Ray's clearly died of a heart attack. Everyone sees him with blood. They see him holding the knife. Dodie screaming in the trailer.
No, Dodie comes out of the trailer with that hatchet and is what did you do?
What did you do?
And then he just snatches it from her. He's like, I'm gonna kill him,
that son of a bitch.
And they're
the entire trailer park comes out.
And he's just like, now it's like
swinging at everyone. He's just lost it. Then he pulls a gun out.
Yes.
Well, somebody else disarms him from the thing, and then he pulls the gun out, and it's like, what the fuck? And then the guy shows up with the shotgun and fires
Bill Paxton gets in his car.
And he gets in his car and
just drives away. New life. Time for a new life.
New life. Then we have this amazing sequence where all it is a fog machine against his windshield, and someone is throwing tumbleweeds from the side of the car.
As he's falling asleep.
Right. And has this nightmarish dream sequence where the neighbor has no fingers and is rubbing his face. And then it cuts to Ms. Danzig as she's fingering the open neck
It's such a good effect, too.
It's amazing.
It's a really good effect.
It's that Chris Wallace effects quality coming in.
And
then who pops up? The Vagrant. The Vagrant's behind
there's
the whole
nobody
time.
sitting there for a second. He's like, oh my God. And then the Vagrant grabs him by the face.
And
he reaches over him and grabs the steering wheel to drive him into, there's like an 18-wheeler coming at him. You see the lights.
He almost hits it first, and the car flips like 9 times.
It falls off like a mountain.
Yeah, no, it looks insane.
And then just lands upright in a gas station.
Yeah, we were like, what happened there? Was that a dream?
Yeah, that was confusing at first, but it was. He was sleeping in the gas station parking lot.
Next to this diner and gas station is something that Bob, Matt, and I really enjoy.
Man,
it is.
I asked when it was. It was the scene started, and I was like, wait. Where are we?
Bill Paxton says that he gets up from the nightmare of falling down the mountain, and he's looking around at everything, and that's when you see the restaurant, and you see what was it?
Stillborn.
Yeah, it's Steely Don Stillborn's Western World, and it's like a restaurant, a truck stop, gas station, and then a haunted mine attraction called the Lost Souls Mine, and we were just like, what the And Bill Paxton goes, where the hell am I now?
That had to be something they found. I bet. You think they made it for the movie?
This movie's too well crafted. It's perfect. It's because it started in a normal ass place that makes sense and could have been anywhere. It seemed like infinite because it could be anywhere, anytime. And now we're in this very specific, unbelievably specifically odd setting that is a haunted mine attraction in Arizona.
The movie starts as the Money Pit and it ends as an episode of Gravity Falls.
Yeah,
and that's why it's so damn good. So
I think this movie has a very powerful message about just leaving other people the fuck alone.
Well,
seriously.
So Bill Paxton is filling up the gas tank. Meanwhile, you see a car pull up to the restaurant.
Right.
Two gentlemen get out of the Dust Bowl. It's Barfus and the partner. And
Just
Barfus
out of nowhere,
is
right?
so rude to the waitress.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Well, when they
actually
first
kind of-
go in, though,
They sit at a table that's for truckers only.
And
and they're having a conversation with his partner's like, we're 500 miles out of our jurisdiction, and he goes, results cut through red tape.
Red tape.
Just shut up. Like, we're gonna do this.
And then she's like, I'm not going to serve you. You're not truckers. She's like, give us 2 big bowls of chili. Or he's like, why don't you shut your face and give us
Why don't you move your mud flaps?
Yeah, you're in your mud flaps and give us 2 big bowls of chili.
And she thinks about it in a way that made me be like, there's gonna be like blood or piss in this chili,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean,
Probably. There might have been, but we don't know. Yeah.
Well, she does pour coffee on him on purpose.
Yeah.
Well,
which is
that's
rephrased,
after
but later,
that's
but
after
yeah.
this next scene. So
Because the whole
So then
movie
Bill
is...
Paxton wakes up and is like, well, I guess I need gas.
starts filling his gas up,
Okay.
and then he sees something in the back of his car, and he opens it, and it's the Vagrant's wheelie bag, and he pulls it out,
like-
and he's like, "I knew it." And then he pulls out some books. Now he opens the books, and what we realize is that the Vagrant used to be an accomplished psychiatrist who wore an eye patch and a suit, and there are copies of the book, new copies of the book, and he looks at the
The
back
animal within. The animal within. Right.
and the back flap. The Vagrant is clearly the author. There is a scrapbook, pictures of Bill Paxton, the perfect guy.
They call him a guinea pig.
Yeah,
The
guinea
guinea
pig.
pig.
They called me a fool. I'll prove them wrong. And if you watch the DVD again, press freeze and read some of the stuff.
It's
on the
crazy.
pages. It's wonderful. It really is great stuff. Walt Whitman is a joke compared to the Vagrant.
Jesus Christ.
Throw him under the bus.
And then Bill Paxton's now furious now because he realized he's been a pawn in this sick game. What was the point? Why would he do this to me? And the Vagrant pops up and pulls out a flare and goes, "Game over now, buddy."
First thing he says in the movie.
Yeah,
Yes,
first thing he
first
says,
thing.
and he sets the car on fire. The tailgate on fire.
Yeah, tailgate on
and
fire,
Bill
right.
Paxton's like, I'm not afraid of you anymore, motherfucker.
The
And he
Vagrant
goes
runs
after
into the
him.
mine shaft and he goes, "I'm not afraid anymore." Grabs a pickaxe and chases after
Well, it's
him.
like the symbol for the mine shaft is hanging above it. And Bill Paxton rips it down
Yeah.
to the haunted mine shaft attraction.
And runs
like, what
in.
the fuck?
And meanwhile,
That's what
Barfus,
Barfus gets his coffee spilled on him on purpose, and he's pissed off. And they're like, "Have you seen this man? He's probably driving like a
A
1982
blue station wagon. She's
blue-
like, you mean like the one on fire outside?
and they all look out the window, and,
and it
everything
explodes. It's fucking genius.
I love
It's
it.
so good.
I love that she didn't care that the car was on fire
No,
before
it's
they
just-
asked.
She
Like,
just wanted to make them look like idiots.
Yeah, right.
That's what the whole point of that was,
Right.
that she was enjoying that.
Yeah,
So
it's great.
Bill Paxton is now running through the mine shaft. The Vagrant is throwing fake miners onto him and making
And all this
"Ha-ha."
goofy shit, like screaming through the intercom at him about. He starts being like, "You're." What does he say? He's like,
"You're a waste of life. You're nothing."
Right.
Yeah, he's just like talking shit at him, and he's hunting him through the thing, and then Barvis and his partner eventually get in.
They split up.
By the time they are entering, I think is when they enter right before he knocks like the roof of
Yes.
the place down onto him.
Showing us that it is just an attraction.
It is.
Yeah,
It's all made
yeah.
of like styrofoam and stuff.
Yeah.
So we now get to what I will call the reason that when I was watching The Vagrant for the first time, I said, I really enjoy this.
Right.
And then this moment happens. And this solidified, it is one of my favorite movies, is Bill Paxton stands up. The Vagrant is in an elevator shaft.
He's like looking through this like weird room, and then he sees him.
He sees him, and he's sitting down in like a stool.
One of those things that like a mine shaft would have,
Yes.
that like an elevator and a mine
a
shaft.
lift
It's
in a loft.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the
It's
Vagrant
a freight
is,
elevator.
he's sitting on a
for
stool,
an
Like from Total Recall.
and the Vagrant
Yeah, it was one in Total Recall.
drops the growly voice and just talks like Marshall Bell and goes, "See, I'm really glad this works. See, look at you now. Paranoia and Eleanor holds you. You're interesting. You got
He's
style.
like, you don't care what anybody thinks anymore. You can make your own decision.
You're finally doing it right."
And now I'm going to talk about it. Because this movie is insane. Because the professor was trying to prove this point as a normal person, looking normal in a normal setting.
Right.
He was trying to prove this point, and they were like, "You're wrong." And he became
Interesting.
interesting to prove the point. Like, he was like, "I have to do this, and then to do this, I have to terrorize someone." So he became
and become a murderer.
Yes. Oh, and become a murderer. I mean, he lost his fucking mind. But
Yeah,
he went to the other side, like the boring and interesting. The whole movie's boring.
He let the animal without. You know, like,
he went over there, and
yeah.
the thing I find really interesting is the people that are normal, that aren't part. This is why I said Barvis like steps over the line into this half of the interesting. He becomes interesting when he like drives 500 miles to chase someone. Like, he became interesting because at the beginning of the movie,
you're telling me that Barfus isn't interesting from the minute you see him, because that's idiotic.
No, he's still in the normal realm. He's just pretty intense. He's not interesting yet. But
I have no stake in this argument.
Okay, but that's fine. But at the beginning, when they're at the campsite and he's showing his friend the campsite,
I didn't mean to call you an idiot, by the way. Sorry, that was rude.
Doesn't matter. I mean, if it puts me in the class with Walt Whitman,
I know,
John Williams, I guess that's fine. But anyway,
you know what? If you want to stand with losers, man, I can't.
Anyway, all right, let me get this point out. His friend, his best friend, who is, you said, the most normal person in the whole movie. Arguably,
I think he is. Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
His friend says, "This guy's living pretty sweet." Like, he's like, right.
You mean that he says the Vagrant is living pretty sweet?
No, Bill Paxton said the Vagrant is living pretty
said
sweet.
That.
Bill Paxton said
You're
that.
right.
Bill Paxton said that.
But it still doesn't matter. The movie's about like people leaving each other alone, and like you can be right in your own world. It's like there is no universal right. It's that if you're normal and you want to be normal and achieve normal things, you're doing fine. But if you want to be quote unquote interesting, I just love that the movie thinks being insane is interesting, which is awesome. But if you want to be like batshit crazy, that's also cool, because the other batshit crazy people will be batshit crazy with you. That's why he's like, look at you, got style, like, and he just looks a mess, like he looks.
Well, yeah.
insane.
At the moment,
but that guy is like, you look good
Ziccardi,
now you look good. See, you're figuring it out.
The moment Ziccardi's talking about here, that's when I actually thought they would become friends. I thought it was going to be some, like, Bill Paxton would be like, you know what, you're right.
Well, he does say,
I do like my life more now.
Do you know
he says before he attacks him?
If the movie ended with, like, Walk of Life by Dire Straits, like it's starting, and Bill Paxton just smiling and saying, let's go Vagrant, and it cut to black, I probably would say it's my favorite movie of all time.
Right.
But it doesn't.
It doesn't do that.
No. It does. What happens is
Bill Pullman. There's a good line from what you said. Bill Pullman, before he attacks him. Bill Paxton. Sorry. Bill Paxton before.
Different movie.
Yeah, definitely different movie.
Bill Pullman might work too. That he's so bland.
Lost Highway is the Vagrant with Robert Blake.
Yeah.
But the last thing he says before he attacks him is, he says, "I want to show you how thankful I am."
Yes.
But not in a like weird movie like revenge quippy way. He says it like he's serious.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But then he attacks him. He's like, you know what? I want to show you how thankful I am for all this. And then he runs to attack. I just thought that was weird, because he didn't say it like it was a quip or a snarky way to be. He said it genuinely.
Like he almost genuinely
meant it, but then he still attacked him, which is really fucking weird.
Awesome. I loved it, though.
Yeah.
I mean...
There's also an element of trading places in this movie.
A little bit.
Like a social experiment going horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Except this is like the horror version of that.
Where they had to murder people instead of just like making people
Right, yeah. Like, can this man become this with only a few nudges? You know?
My whole takeaway from the movie is just be happy with what you have. Just be you. Don't.
But we haven't gotten to the end yet.
Yes.
Let's get to the end and then.
Okay, they start fighting. They're having like a battle, and then Bill Paxton like chokes him out. He thinks he's killed him, and then Barvis bursts in, and he's like, "That's the last person you're ever gonna kill, you sick
fuck." Blaming
and he's like, "Now stand up and pretend to run away so I can shoot you, because that's the only justice you're gonna get."
And Bill Paxton turns around and says, "No, you're gonna do it to my face."
Yeah, he's like, "You coward, shoot me."
Yes,
he knows.
But instantly,
and Barfus has never been right this whole movie. So he pays for his sins of being a fucking moron this whole time.
Because fucking the Vagrant just shoves a chair
through this motherfucker.
Through his torso.
Like one straight through his chest and two through his kidneys. Yes. It's insane.
Then he picks him up off the ground and starts using him as a gun against Bill Paxton by shaking like Ironsides, and he starts firing the gun in his hand. is so insane.
By the way, the Vagrant had taken a Polaroid picture of Bill Paxton when he was in the elevator shaft.
Yep.
As sort of like hey, look at my success of my test subject. Bill Paxton grabs the camera and takes a photograph
of him holding
Barfus.
Barfus with a chair stabbed.
So he's staying with the photograph. He goes, I can't wait for this to develop. The partner comes in with a gun, and he's got it pointed to both the Vagrant and Bill Paxton with Barfus down the floor.
And he goes, who did that? And they both go, he did.
He did.
It's fucking, that scene's amazing.
And he throws the photograph to the partner. He looks at it, develops. It's clearly the Vagrant.
Right.
The Vagrant goes, ah! And the partner just shoots the holes in him.
Yep.
He falls out a window.
Lands on a pile of cacti. And one of the cacti shoves into his eye, milky eyeball, and milk just oozes out.
That's the two things that make this complete. I don't understand. Like,
oh, no.
So, is he supernatural? Because when he's strangling him, there's like black sludge and like gray liquid coming out of his mouth, not blood. And then when his eye gets pierced, it's like goo. White
I think he had an
goo.
eye malformity that with like the vitreous turned opaque.
But why was his blood black and gray?
It was coming out of his mouth. He might have had tablets. He was trying to create a whole aura here.
2 words. Interesting.
There you go. He was the universe recognized how interesting he was, thus making him bleed black out of his mouth. That's what it came about. But he looks like he's dead.
He looks like he's dead. But there is a line. He's not dead yet. He won't even make it to the hospital, meaning he's still technically alive.
Breathing, right?
But the screen then fades to black. We open up, and Bill Paxton is touring a beautiful new house. He's wearing a tropical shirt. He's got
the cop. The cops, when they're taking him away, the cop goes,
wanted for murder in 8 states.
Yeah, he's all. This guy's connected to all this kind of shit. He's wanted for murder in 8 states.
He's been doing this to other people.
And he goes, five of them actually have rewards that all together line up to a really nice sum for you.
Yep.
And then, and he's like, oh, okay. But then he goes, and also, that guy's not dead. But they doubt he'll make it to the hospital.
Right.
Wink, wink. They doubt he'll make it to the hospital. Dude, he got shot 8 times and fell off the 2nd story of a building face first.
But that's another thing why this movie subverts expectations. Because when you cut to Bill Paxton touring the new house with the tropical shirt and the slick back hair, and he's like, it's exactly what I was looking for. It's exactly what I want. She leaves.
He's not interesting anymore.
And then
he looks out the window.
It's a beautiful grassy yard. Turns on the faucet, shuts it down, and the dripping starts happening. The dripping. The camera pans into his face. He looks crazed. Cut to black. Credits. The Vagrant doesn't have to come back because he's already in there.
He's in his
also, brain. Good to point out too, the Vagrant probably didn't. He probably started when he started all this. He probably looked not that bad. All the maladies and malformities we see at this point, he probably got by murdering and killing all those other people.
Oh yeah, I'm sure like somebody stabbed his eye out.
Oh yeah.
Cut him all up, burned him.
He probably became nuts through all this. Yeah.
We do need to emphasize how hilarious the "he did it" line was.
Yeah.
That really was a fantastic.
It's really
line.
good.
But again, I cannot emphasize how that speech by the Vagrant when he just goes, "You got style," at 10 stars. Just
that was great. Yeah, the lesson to be learned, Matt.
I love this movie.
No, I love it too. It seemed like a movie that had like 3 different social commentaries happening at once, and every time I thought what it was saying was what it was saying, it switched. So that's pretty awesome, and I could probably talk about this for days. Honestly,
I'll tell you, my last comment on this film is I've gushed about it enough.
Oh, you know what?
No, I love The Vagrant, but I've also lived The Vagrant. Before I met you two guys, I was wearing plaid shirts, khakis from the Gap.
You were super
and then
square-looking.
I met Matt PA. And now, dang it, boys, thinking pretty interesting.
You did dress different.
Yeah, I did. I don't know what changed. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I mean since the first time we did a podcast together to now, yeah, I guess so. You lived it, man.
Get friends with this guy.
You know what's a weird comment?
He's your Vagrant.
I'm your Vagrant.
And I would.
I'm in your head.
Matt, let me just say one thing. It's ride or die with you, brother.
Yeah.
You're my Vagrant or nobody else is.
I want to just point out a weird thing in the movie where I think Bill Paxton, it just kind of sucks that the Vagrant kept attacking him. Because the reason he comes back with the drip, I think the drip happens again because he's actually happy at the trailer park.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He's absolutely fine.
The drip doesn't happen at the trailer
because
park.
they have that scene where he's
No.
never not complaining or looking for something better the whole movie. And then that scene where they're sitting there talking about the underwear. Before that happens, X-Ray's like,
people love you.
yeah, everybody here loves you. How are things with Dodie? He's like, dude, I can't complain. And they like laugh it off. Like he's no longer like looking beyond his means or like being unhappy.
So you're saying the Vagrant should have been like, I've done it.
Well, no, I think
There?
that's why the drip started again, because the that's not him. Him trying to live in the normal house again. Like him was being like this like kind of shit kicker, nice guy in a trailer park.
Exactly.
Like, that was what his essence is, and now that he's back there trying to do the thing again, where I buy the big house, I have the normal shit. The drip happened again.
Exactly.
Right.
Because he's programmed him not to be normal anymore. Because he taught him how to be happy. He thanked him for it, killed him, tried to do it again, but now he's fucked. He's like stuck in his head. So now the drip's happening because of that. Because he's going against what his true happiness is, which is being interesting.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that.
I just say this movie's incredible. It's fucking incredible. It's awesome.
It's a good
For
movie.
a movie that service level almost makes no sense when you're watching it at first. For the first 40 minutes.
No,
for the first 40 minutes, you can't tell what it's about.
I could see how audiences could dismiss this movie, though.
You're a
I could
fool.
see how it could be dismissed. You don't see that, especially in '92. I could see how this could be dismissed. It's way ahead of its time.
This movie, I feel in a weird way, I'd love to do a double feature of it. Dark Man in this movie, and I don't know why.
I mean, like time period wise, yeah, I can see that.
No, I think they both have the same visual style, and I also think they, in a weird way, have the same themes, too.
I might say Neighbors more, but that's me.
Well,
we talked about this. Parents would also be a good feature.
Parents or Neighbors.
Parents or Neighbors, but I would also say Dark Man.
Not the Seth Rogen Neighbors.
No.
The Dan Aykroyd
Belushi
one.
Yes, which is a movie I love as well.
I love that movie. Yeah, because it's a movie where you never know what exactly is happening until the very end, and even then.
Chris Wallace, thank you for this love letter.
Yes.
We love you. Give us a shout out on
watch this
Facebook.
movie.
Please message us. Chris, I'd like to interview about The Vagrant. If you'd like to actually call in, we'll do a special interview.
Call in where?
To Bonus Disc Live.
I mean, look, I have mutual friends with Chris Wallace. I can probably tag him.
Let's do it. Let's do a Vagrant interview.
I'll tag him in this episode.
Wow.
Chris Wallace. I know Jason Koch. Jason, I'm sorry. I don't know how to say your last name sometimes. I'm sorry. So I'll tag him in this, and maybe he'll listen to it.
Well, he's probably one of my favorite filmmakers and makeup artists I've ever known in my life. So, Chris, thank you for The Vagrant.
There you go.
Guys, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, thank you.
This movie's incredible.
It's incredible. We're new fans of The Vagrant. Thank you, Ziccardi.
You're welcome. Love being back.
And fuck you, John Williams. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
All right.
Burn it in hell.
Bye.
Enjoy Star Battles.
Hopefully the next episode I'll be able to talk without screaming. Bye.
You've just listened to Bonus Disc, available only on Thundergrunt. Questions, complaints, and movie suggestions can be posted to facebook.com/bonusdisc. Opinions and criticisms of the hosts of Bonus Disc are 100% valid, even though they took the time to watch the movies you were too ignorant to appreciate.